The Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast is dedicated to all things Horus Heresy. This podcast delves into the grimdark universe where Primarchs clash, legions rise, and loyalties fracture faster than a Land Raider's track. But it's not just about the lore of the Horus Heresy. The Accountabilibuddies also explore the gaming side of things, from painting and modeling tips to product reviews and ideas to help you in your hobby. So, whether you're a seasoned Forge World veteran or a fresh-faced scout, this podcast is your Vox channel to the galaxy. Expect discussions on lore, modeling, gaming, and maybe even the shenanigans that your hosts somehow seem to find their way into. Remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there are only two things you can count on: Heresy and your trusty Accountabilibuddies.
Welcome to episode 122 of the Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast. Tonight, I am joined by my fellow host of...
Ryan.
Duncan.
Oh, Jamie.
And John.
And Jack. We had 1 week off, and we're still on top of it. Outstanding.
Yes.
Outstanding. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of this regular scheduled podcast, we're going to kick it over to a quick station identification.
Do you love resin bases? Then go to our sponsor, Elric Hobbies, for all of your basing and basing accessory needs. Use code HeresyABB at checkout for a discount. Legendary Monument Hobbies. Monument Hobbies is a one-stop shop for all of your painting needs. Use code HeresyABB at checkout for a 5% discount on your purchase. Pop Goes the Monkey. Find maker of third-party accessory bits of arms, legs, backpacks, and more, where you can get 10% off your first order over $125 with code HeresyABB at checkout.
And thank you to our patrons. Without you, we would be screaming to ourselves and would not have Duncan floating in the middle of a cityscape because he is the giant evil head.
I am the big giant head floating in the city.
So
Look at that beard.
So since the last episode, nothing's happened, right? There's been no events, nobody's gone anywhere. John hasn't spent 35 hours in a truck screaming into the darkness, right? Nothing like that has happened.
No, I'm pretty sure John spent 35 hours screaming in the back of a truck,
Okay.
no matter what.
I was never in the back because I don't fit in the back seat of my own truck.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
So
John doesn't ride. Yeah.
we're still in that golden time frame where we don't want to say that. So let's go ahead and kick it over to Hobby. From Hobby, we'll do news. From news, we'll talk about the giant elephant in the room, or the giant Duncan head floating in the cityscape, about Adepticon. So Hobby, I know we are all getting ready for Adepticon. What was the last stuff that we all worked on hobby-wise, and what have we worked on since? John?
Bold of you to think that I didn't work on anything after Adepticon.
I said since.
Okay, so yeah, before Adepticon, obviously I was finishing up everything. Our giveaway table finished up. Got the Serpentor tile and the fountain tile all finished up. Got everything transported somehow up there. As was implied, I did drive from DFW to Milwaukee. About 17 hours the first way, so we left at about 5:30ish and got there at about midnight. On the drive back, we left at about 5:30ish and got home at 10. I will just say that there were some nice people that were in front of us for going in excess of the speed limit, and much fun was had. But drive wasn't terrible. Since Adepticon, though, I managed to get, I kind of said before, that post-Adepticon is going to be about finishing a lot of projects. A lot of the Heresy events that are coming up, while I like Cobra, a lot of these events are going to be kind of chaperoned and guided by GW. So I'm going to try to move on to some of my other projects that I've gotten half done. So I'm going to work on my Knights a little bit more. So in that instance, I've gone ahead and broken out the battle castings, not armigers, that I bought last year at Adepticon, not in 2025, but 2024. I picked up 4 of those guys, 2 pair, they come in boxes, and then I picked up an Atropos and some other knights I've got laying around. I went through the Atropos, which was a recast, and cleaned off all the poor molds on that one. So between cleaning those 2 up, that took me almost all week. There was a lot of chunk on the battle casting stuff. I think it was one of his first models, and judging by some of the stuff he's been posting online recently, a lot of his new stuff is a lot better. But there was like some old posts from when he 3D printed stuff and then cast the 3D prints. He didn't clean it all the way up, and then some of the molds broke down during the casting, and so there was a bunch of cleaning and cutting and stuff. But I got both those guys cleaned up, and then I got the Afterpost cleaned up. So I'll be slowly working towards trying to figure out how I want to base those. I've got 4 of my knight bases still built that I need to work on, and I need to build probably 4 more to go with all the knights I've got. I guess the other thing I did was, in kind of preparation for this, I went ahead and took the boxes that not Talking Brian, our patron Brian, who is quietly listening to us, I'll be exposing behind the scenes a little bit. He showed us the what do they call it, like really fine boxes or something. Those were really cool for night storage, so I picked up a bunch of those before. And this week during our hobby hangout, I managed to go ahead and get all those magnetized. So now I can take my knights to events without having to take along 2 1520s. And I've also got a lot more customizability along with like which knights go in which box, instead of just having to always take the 1520 that's full. So I get a little more customizability there. But that's everything I've been up to. What about Jamie? We missed you.
I basically have been a press ganger for John's terrain endeavors. Let's just call it that. Literally running my printer like 24/7 and having to clean, cure, and de-support everything that he's had me print so far.
The resin must flow.
And then, like,
the resin must flow.
the resin must flow, yeah. I'm
looking for my normal oil bath.
I probably have lung cancer at this point and have lost a significant amount of brain matter. But yeah. I've also had a lot of child care and child I don't know how to put it without sounding creepy, but welfare issues. Like between spring break and soccer games, I have basically 2 of my children in cast right now, like arm cast. So I've been very busy outside of the hobby, and it's probably going to be another month before I can really get my toes hardcore back into like painting and modeling, just with everything I've got going on right now. I try to do what I can, and it's just I'm burning it both ends to try and get anything done. So unfortunately, I wish I was a better hobbyist. So
Life sucks sometimes.
But yeah,
I'll
I've been
disagree with
printer
that.
shopping too. I know Jack has been looking at stuff too, but I've been resin printer shopping as well. So but I will pass it to the big giant head, Duncan.
I am the big giant head because of the way that this is starting to look. So I'm not worried about it. Let's see here. What have I done immediately pre-Adepticon and post-Adepticon? Well, I've had a lot of hobby stuff that I didn't do because I was already done for Adepticon for my army. I did not finish off the last 2 World Eater Land Raiders. I only finished off 6. The last 2 are still in 3/4 complete. But that's because I didn't need to bring 8. I only needed the 6 and had fun with the 6. Since returning from Adepticon, I've assembled 1 whole model. It's great. I'm going to use it as a tester model to see. I'm sorry, 2 models. My bad. I've assembled 1 model for Night Lords, and we've got 1 model fully assembled for Thousand Suns, so that I can sit there and fiddle on schemes for both. Try to see how that works out in the end for my daughter's army and possibly for the Night Lords that I've got sitting around gathering dust. I've also started counting out bikes to see how many bikes I have, and the answer apparently is a lot. And I do mean a lot.
Jet bikes or
Beyond
regular
that,
bikes?
both actually. I think I've got like 25 regular bikes and 12 jet bikes at the moment.
They're
So I'm
rookie
not
numbers.
quite. Yeah, they are rookie numbers compared to all Sentinel numbers. You're absolutely right. I agree, but it's okay.
Hold on. I've made for the White Scars Army. I'm not rookie numbers, but I'm not John numbers.
No,
So,
no, no. I'm not John numbers. And I probably will end up getting more for the White Scars Army that I also am working on once I get further into that. Beyond that, I've been in contact with 4 different places that hold events. Talking with them, 4 different groups that are holding events in the upcoming months, trying to get information so we can talk about it on here, give them a shout out. I've talked to a whole bunch of people in various different things. I have acquired a new airbrush from Harder and Steenbeck.
nice. It looked like that was an Infinity, correct?
It's the Infinity CR Plus, yes.
Nice.
And then I acquired a no-name air compressor.
Yeah.
And then I plugged in the no-name air compressor. And then I shocked the shit out of myself
Oh, that sucks.
because it's not grounded properly.
Oh,
And
Ugh.
the
Awesome.
top, so there's 4 little screws on the top of it that run to the tank, where they run to the compressor, that run into the tank. And if you somehow accidentally touch any one of those when it's plugged in, you're going to zap yourself because it's not grounded right. So I tested that after it gave me the first shock, thinking maybe it's just static, and then it did again. And I thought, okay, maybe it's just this outlet. So I unplugged it and plugged it into a different outlet, and it did again. And at that point, I said, nope, I'm not doing this. Daughter, come over here. So I made her get zapped just to make certain it wasn't just me. Um, and then I unplugged it and I reboxed it, and I'm going to take it over to Staples and send it back to Amazon tomorrow. So, and then I'm going to figure out getting another different compressor, and it's not going to be a no-name one, because after that, I just don't trust that compressor to the Rudy Tooty or whatever it is to not zap me because of whatever reason.
Did you miss the additional taser feature in the description on Amazon?
So I went back through the additional description of Amazon, and I didn't find any mention of it whatsoever. So apparently that was just a brand new freebie of I get to play Zap Zap.
Cool.
So yeah. So that's all I've done. It's been lots and lots and lots of fun. Jack, what have you done pre and post Adepticon?
pre-Adepticon, I continued down my pathway of working on the statues. Now that I can actually talk about during Adepticon, we had a couple of statues that Pop Goes the Monkey printed off. 10 smaller ones that we gave away as trophies, 2 larger ones that we did up, in one in the traditional artwork for the show. And since that was Sons of Horus and I had to clean my palette because I felt dirty after painting the Sons of Horus, I painted the other ones Ultramarines. When he did up the model, it was a fantastic job, but there was some stuff just on his end of it didn't make sense for him to sculpt, 3D sculpt. So it was like the backpack, the shoulder pad, the gun. So I went ahead and printed all of those off at the right scales, along with for the Sons of Horus, as you can see on Duncan's screen right now. Let me blow up his screen real fast so you can see it. For Duncan's, I did a Thunderhammer. For the Ultramarines one, I did a Legatine axe, and then a Ultramarines branded sword. That meant his axe fell off. It was held on there with a very light amount of glue. I did that along with, nobody wants to see me, just me. Along with that, I did the shoulder backpack and bolter to go with it. Painted all that stuff off. For the trophies, base coat, highlights, dirtied them up a little bit, cleared them up. I liked the trader ones a lot more than I like the loyalist ones, just because I could throw more patina on the trader ones than I did the loyalist ones. At least that was my thought. That was my hobby leading up to Adepticon. You gave me them what, 2 weeks before Adepticon, 3 weeks before Adepticon?
I gave them to you 3 weeks before Adepticon.
3 weeks, so that was my 3 weeks leading up to Adepticon. I went from not having anything to do to scrambling to get crap done. Thanks, Duncan.
You're welcome. How much you?
There's only 12 models.
Hey, don't forget, for one whole week of that, you were away from the house and not able to do anything.
Yeah. So that was fun. Along with that, I printed off. I think I already talked about it. Print off a couple things. Big, elephant in the room, like we talked about. Adepticon, post Adepticon. I worked on organizing Hobby Station a little bit, just to get all the new stuff out, out the way. I too bought a new airbrush. It looks remarkably like the one Duncan had up in front of his forehead a minute ago. I bought 12 bottles of two thin coats blue glaze, which theoretically should be enough to get me every single Ultramarine that I think I could ever want painted. Theoretically. Along with some various stuff that mostly that I'll talk about when we're talking about the actual meats and potatoes of Adepticon. Bri, what about you?
Leading up to Adepticon, since I didn't really have to work on any models, I did some light truck repairs before we went over. That kind of needed to happen. I had to fix my heat and replace a wheel bearing. Nothing too crazy. Post Adepticon, I put together the event information that will be shared later in this podcast and on the Discord for the next Michigan event. I started developing missions for it. Have not worked on any models yet since I got back. I've also just been kind of recovering from the drive back. I kind of beat myself up pretty good. Other than that, looking for some cool new terrain to invest in that I only discovered because Silent Brian, Mr. Odin Stormfist himself, added me to a terrain group on Facebook, and I just happened to catch a Kickstarter on there, so that's looking really promising and hopefully something I'll have here in a month or two. Who do we got left? Was it just me? Yeah. Get to the news.
Duncan, I am sending you the airbrush, air compressor that I bought off of Amazon in February the 17th of 2013, and it's still running.
Okay, can you also send me the size hose that's correct for that one? Because the current hose I have goes to the Husky.
I'll send you the hose.
But it will not.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Well,
this one takes. This one and the Rudy Tooty and the No Name air compressor I got both have different fitting sizes than the actual Badger and the Husky air compressor I have. So,
one thing I learned about Harder & Steenbeck brushes is they'll take Badger attachments. So you can buy a Badger QD attachment and it'll work on the H&S.
Okay.
I prefer QD mounts on all my stuff, even if I'm not swapping them that often. Yeah. With the doggos walking around, it's just safer to unplug them every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can clean stuff a lot easier too.
Yep.
So, the hose I got from Badger My first second Adepticon. So that wasn't an Amazon buy. But John, are you going to share your screen for the news, or do you want me to leave it as is?
No, I'll share my screen just a second. I gotta clean off the other stuff I was doing for us.
You're always busy, John. Always busy. God bless you.
Huh? Yeah.
Ooh, I heard it.
All right. So,
Watch.
can y'all see my screen?
I am getting it loaded up right here, right now, sir. I can see your screen. It has a red book on it that looks like it should be part of the Twilight Saga.
Yeah, so this is some of the new stuff we're getting next week.
Hold on. Why does he know that? Why does he know that?
So probably for the same reason I do. He has a wife and a daughter.
Yeah. And
Sure.
Adepticon.
That was like
the year the Cestus Assault Rams, the first Adepticon, those were out. I played against a Blood Angels force that was called Blood Force something or other, and it was team whatever the vampire was.
Twilight
and he was so sparkly.
Oh god.
that's the cover of the new Fulgrim Perfect Sun Special Edition. Not necessarily for Heresy related, but I'm sure it'll have some stuff in there. Mainly what's coming out next week for releases is going to be all of the Emperor's Children stuff we were promised. So we've got the Collector's Edition book, the plastic Fulgrim, new Goofy Lucius, the characters,
Mr.
and
Backpack?
then all of the...
Who was Mr.
Yeah,
Backpack?
Mr. Backpack.
The cacophonous.
Yo, dog.
Yeah, I think it's definitely weird that they got different guns, same stats.
Yo, dog, I heard you like a backpack.
I'm still looking to steal the Lord Exultant's cape for conversions.
The special edition of the Codex though it's gone back to like the old ones. What was it for 9th edition? Was that what
7th and 8th had it? Yeah.
Yeah, 7th and 8th it had the box with the tokens, and it used to have a set of cards in it. Maybe had some like a poster or like some pamphlets or like.
Death Watch had the decal set. There was like every book had something cool and special. All of the Chaos Gods get this little quarter thing here because they did a preview for some of the other books that are coming out, and so we'll see what those look like in a bit.
They're pretty cool. I will say that those are nice.
Yeah, so this is next week. This week we had drop the High Elf releases. When I was looking yesterday, one of these had already sold out. The High Elf Lords had already sold out. And the box had sold out as well, but I don't even see it now. But next week we'll see the official drop of all this Mechanicum stuff that we're still waiting for some of the Heresy releases. Joy Toy, while we were at Adepticon, dropped the Linaran Terminators. You can get a Volkite Pistol and Axe, Volkite Pistol and Sword, or Conversion Beamer and Axe. Again, you don't have to order them from Warhammer merch, it's just easier to see that references here. Starforge dropped Heresy hats, so I think that they got a little jealous of Josh making cool hats for the last 2 events that he was at, and I've got a couple that were like real tree, but they've got stitched on Aquillas that he's been doing. He's been experimenting with some of the new stuff, and so Starforge came out with their official hats with logos and the kind of bloody swatches, depending on your Legion color. This is only for the Traitor Legions right now, though, as well as the gods associated with them.
As it should be.
Well, that's this bull crap.
Are they snapbacks or are they fitted?
Adjustable, so probably snapbacks. They have no photos though, so I don't know how much Yep, no photos.
Yeah, they're snapbacks then.
In other gaming related news, Steamforged, which we met at Adepticon, and I'll have a funny story about them guys. decided that they're going to start making War Machine in printables. So they're going to start selling 3D files.
Oh, no, that's interesting.
Yeah. I think that this could be a way for smaller games to get a larger fan base, like we're seeing with Trench Crusade and a couple others. You're going to see like boutiques pop up that are just print houses, and we're already seeing that a lot in places. So it'll be interesting to see how this comes about, to see what this does. If they break apart into the same bits as before, I could see people buying these STLs just for the bits, because I know I ordered a lot of metal bits when they still had a bits out. The Cricks and then these weirdos, I forget what these guys are called, had really cool bits in them. Other things are this company called Graven Guild is doing a Exton Hills Imperial Hex Kickstarter. Can't possibly understand what that would be knocking off of, gentlemen. Could you?
Nope, not a clue.
Nothing. Not a clue. Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. And the other cool Kickstarter that I saw going on right now was the one that Brian mentioned a little bit, is the Wasteland Battlefield Kickstarter. I'd done a previous Kickstarter with these guys, but you can see here the different tiers that they're offering. The gate moves with the little hydraulic hinges, and then the snake road, which is all made of like duckboard plating, but it hinges, and so each piece kind of maneuvers like a snake. Just some absolutely cool stuff if you've got a 3D printer or friends with ones that you don't mind shortening their lifespans while they work for you.
Off.
But yeah, that's what's going on right now for releases. It's kind of slow post Adepticon. A lot of gaming releases usually come about in the summer when everyone can kind of drum up sales and things like that, as people have a little bit more disposable income.
Can we talk about one thing though that kind of is related to new releases, but it's not been released yet?
What's that? This guy?
That.
Yeah, so this guy, so Heresy Thursday this week got us the Tarantula missile battery.
Which I know we've all been clamoring for so very much.
Like the past two previews we've gotten for Heresy, like literally have been out from like the cornfield of left field, like way like just what is up with this type deals.
The weirdest thing about this to me is one, it doesn't have all the guns in there, so it's just the missiles.
Just missiles.
Which I thought was odd. The other thing I thought was a little odd was it doesn't match the previous releases for Legions Imperialis quite closely. So I'm trying to pull them up. Here they are. If you look at what the Legions Imperialis ones look like, are we to blow that up? They're a little different.
Yeah.
Not a ton, but a little different. And what we'd heard before is that they were making these so they could scale them up to be these, or making these so they could scale them down to be these. And with some of the differences in here that I see, that's what you're doing. I don't kind of see that as well. If this is what the gun rapiers look like, I'll be all for that. I kind of like that look compared to some of the older styles that we had before. But as you were saying, who the hell wanted this?
So can I speculate a little bit?
Sure.
The rumor is that this is included in the box set.
Yep.
Which, okay. Still out of left field. Generally this would be something that you would use for flyers, against flyers. And
no one's taking flyers because they just die in a ball of fire the second they show up on the field.
Exactly. Like, I've seen maybe a Xiphon and an occasional Storm Raven, but that's it. Like, I mean, like, even going to Adepticon and stuff, they're pretty rare because they're really bad, like, gameplay wise right now. Would you not agree?
Oh, you're right. I think the only flyers I saw all Adepticon was mine.
Oh yeah, your rattlers or
Thun-
rattler
Thunderbolt.
adjacent. Yeah,
Yeah, the
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts and the Arvis, the single Arvis. And 2 games out of the 6 I played, they were shot down the second they showed up.
Yeah.
In 1 game, 2 of them were shot down in the same turn. And in different turns, but same game. They're just not effective. They're very low armored because it used to be hard to hit them, but now that you're flinging everything you can point at them during the turns they
like-
come on and their own shooting phase, it's a lot harder.
Yeah, like the intercept and the shooting at as soon as they come on is just it's just like everybody's like, wow, it's cool looking, but like, why? You know, like literally, and I'm not trying to be mean, but literally, like anything else, like anything, just about, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, could we maybe get like breachers or recon troops or like
Stop
bikes?
saying it.
Okay.
Every time you say breachers, it pushes it back another quarter.
Well,
Rapiers?
I mean,
I faced a lot of rapiers all weekend. Could have
Yeah.
been rapier release.
well, and so we also got no previews of Heresy stuff at Adepticon too. So most
Yeah,
people-
our preview article was pretty lacking. I didn't even put it in the stuff because it was just everything else. Like I didn't even really see a ton of stuff you could steal for Heresy other than
Nope.
maybe the Necromunda stuff. Cathay was a big surprise to me, but considering they had said that that was not coming for a long time. But
Yeah, I mean there wasn't a whole. I mean, like the Necromunda stuff may have been there was really the only stuff you could maybe steal. Like then they did the new
then
Hab
there's
stuff.
these, yeah, these would work good for stealing for for Heresy as well.
Servitors.
For the 2 armies that still have access to gun servitors.
Yeah.
But they're seeming to be taking those away, so I don't know if we'll still have them, and if a mythical 3rd edition comes along. But that was kind of the weirder part, was the fact that Heresy wasn't even mentioned or bothered with in the announcement. Not that I wanted a 3.0, but an FAQ or a release or something like that would have been nice, or an
Some
acknowledgement
kind
of
of just a mention.
Like this still exists. What's I don't know because I'm kind of a little out of. What's the next big big event for GW?
probably the GT scene. So they're doing all the GTs around the U.S. Dallas is the one that I'm going to in May. So that's probably the closest
Okay.
one.
Did they? Well, have they already had the Warhammer Weekender or whatever they call
No,
it?
I don't think they have.
I don't even know if there is one. Black Library Weekend was kind of a meh
Yeah,
a couple weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or something, but
yeah.
we saw the release of that card
I don't
box.
know,
That was
man.
about
It's
it.
like yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think how far out they previewed Leviathan before it actually was released, before 10th. They did it, then they showed it at Adepticon, and did they release it before June? Does that sound right?
Yeah,
Or
because the
was it-
Terminator was Leviathan release, and it was new for Adepticon,
Yeah.
the big life-size Terminator.
Which release got borked by COVID? Was that?
The Legion Imperialis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
There's another thing that I guess we missed this as well. So this was on during Adepticon Heresy Thursday, the announcement of the Atropos coming in Legions Imperialis, as well as the Knight Asterius coming to Imperialis. No mention of the well, I guess the Porphyron's already out, so I guess it doesn't need one. But the a lot of people have been releasing conversion kits to turn the Porphyron into the Asterius before.
Yeah.
And then the resin one was like 90 parts, which was too much for this tiny thing. So I never even looked at it. Since my house is more Mechanica maligned, I always thought the Asterius was cooler looking.
I am curious about the Tyrannid terrain that did get kind of announced. I feel like there's
Yeah, it's
potential there to utilize them as just some cool 30K terrain.
yeah, and if it's like all previous non-imperial terrain, it's not gonna hit off very well, and you could probably pick it up cheap on eBay. Like when the kill teams that came with all that orc stuff, I was able to pick those up for I think $25 to $30 a set, like 2 months after they came out, and so I bought 6 sets of that, and I built a
Not
couple
bad.
tables out of it, and I've still got 4 sets left, I think. But
I'd love to see that
terrain's
happen.
terrain. Here was the Necromunda releases, just a couple guys. Data brokers are neat, but meh.
Okay, is there
That's
anything else in
all
the
of
news,
the-
or is that basically it?
That is all the things, Jack.
Okay. So you want to hop over to the meat and taters of everything?
Sure.
How do y'all want to do it? You want to do it day by day, so we can keep it kind of straight and flowing in a direction instead of all of us just kind of going and doing word vomit?
Yeah, I guess so. So I guess I'll start. I kind of arrived first. So we set up off on Tuesday morning at 5:30. Got there close to midnight. After kind of figuring out where the hotel was, drove around and kind of figured out where parking was and everything like that. Because we decided to park on site at the hotel, which was kind of advertised as being connected, but turns out it was only connected because it was connected to a diner, and the diner was connected, but only when the diner was open could you get through the skywalk. It didn't bother me because it was only across the street, but and we kind of ran into some issues with pushing Brian, but we still figured it out. I don't think it was that big of a deal, but it's just kind of weird that they advertised as connected, but it kind of wasn't. Then Duncan showed up and crashed with me that first night.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Had a wonderful, fun drive up. And then had a lot of. I think I drove through every single tariff spot in Chicago on the way up. I definitely hit the Louisville Bridge one. I hit like I said, I think I hit every single one in Chicago, and then I hit the one on the Wisconsin Tollway going up to Milwaukee. Got there right around midnight or so, which was right around the same time John got the room. So got there. Did not unload anything because there was no point in doing it since I was going to the other hotel we were staying at the next morning. Hung out with John for a bit. We sat there about the shit for a while, and then we all passed out. And then I woke up the next morning, and
I made the worst decision of my life. So I had some medical inserts for my shoes that I thought I'd broken in. So I was like, I'll wear these at the con since I'm going to be doing more walking than usual. And that turned my feet into basically giant blisters by the end of day one, and then I was kind of limping all along for the entire con.
Yeah, my Tuesday, yeah, was I made it to Kenosha probably about 6 or 7, which is about 45 minutes outside, and then got a hotel and had a much better night than anybody else because I was just kind of kicking it in small town Kenosha.
Yep. Well, since you had the best
Smart.
night of it, why don't you tell us? Well, actually, after Brian tells us about his Tuesday.
Oh, me and my Tuesday?
Yeah, how was your Tuesday, Brian?
Fought with the dog, fought with the wife, did some packing, went to bed, woke up Wednesday. That was my Tuesday.
Right then, thanks for that. Jamie, how was your Tuesday?
I spent it at work, moving Omnicell machines in and out.
All right.
Oh no, hold on.
Jack.
Sorry, I'm mistaken. I was at the lake, so Tuesday was probably tending to the child that broke his arm.
That would make sense.
Yep.
Yep,
Sorry
fair.
about that. Yep.
And still sorry about that. Jack, since you had the easiest Tuesday of all, why don't you tell us how your Wednesday went?
See here, Wednesday, I think I woke up About probably 9 local time, so 10 Eastern Standard time. Got up, had some breakfast, worked on some work, um, bought new shoes, got some Starbies, stopped by, got some lunch. This literally just slow rode it into downtown Milwaukee. Talked to Duncan a couple of times. He got the room. Um, Told me where to go park. Kind of the slow road, taking my stuff upstairs. Drank another coffee. It was really just a lovely start to a morning. And then then there was a lot of walking and so much walking. And unlike John, my new shoes just treated me like a dream the whole entire weekend. Spoilers, I know, but my new shoes, they loved me. What about noon? You and Gabe came over to the hotel room, picked me up along with the posters because you all already been over to the convention center. Kind of started seeing where stuff was, seeing where we could get stuff, just kind of getting a lay of the land.
Yep.
Fair assessment of it. John came in hot into the loading bay that wasn't a loading bay, that was a loading bay that wasn't a loading bay, that they told us that we couldn't use, but we used anyway. With his.
Well, first they sent me to the actual loading bay, which was on the 3rd floor, and dumped right into the vendor hall. And so I picked up some stuff to look more official, because I didn't have any bags or anything at that point, or any tags or any like shirts or anything. So I picked up some stuff, walked around looking for someone that could tell me where it was, because you can't download the map unless you registered online before. I thought I had, but I never got a confirmation email, so I guess that payment never went through. So I didn't know where the Heresy Hall was. So I come into the first room, vendors, ask a guy, and they, nope, this is vendors. Do you know where the Heresy Hall is? Nope, this is vendors. Okay. Go to 40K, or go to the next hall, which was the Atomic Mass stuff, with all the Star Wars stuff. He told me probably the other side. And so the main ballroom is like a football field that they divided into 3 pieces to be the vendors, Atomic Mass, and then VW stuff. Apart from here, or everything but Heresy basically was played on that floor.
There's also a whole entire additional room on the other side of the 40K stuff that wasn't open to us, that we found on accident. The place is freaking huge.
Yeah, definitely places to expand if we need it. So then got to the 40K hall. They told me I called Duncan. I was kind of tired of walking at that point. And then got to go to the other dock, quote unquote dock, which is basically just a big glass door that slides. And we unloaded there. Everything kind of went without a hitch there. We got everything set up. Did a little bit of uneventful reorganizing of tables. And kind of prepared for the next evening.
There's a lot of going rogue, finding mats. A lot more going rogue, finding terrain. More going rogue, finding tables. The poor put upon wife of Leslie had to listen to all the shenanigans that happened. God bless her soul. Feel so bad for her.
Yep. So my Wednesday was I woke up, hung out with John for a bit, called the hotel. They said, well, we can't tell you if your room's ready or not, but we have some rooms that are already ready. And I was like, okay. So I called them again, and I got a different receptionist, and she said, yes, your room is ready. And I said, sweet, and drove on over there, unloaded everything that needed to get unloaded, went there to the receptionist. They gave me the room key for us. They gave me 3 of the room keys, and then they told me where to park. So then I discovered that I could do this long-ass loop around the entire block to get back to the parking lot, or I could just back straight up since the entire street was deserted and go into the parking garage, which I did. Then I parked where the valet parking is, and I was told you can't park there, but it's fine because the parking lot attendant told me it was fine, so they were okay with it. And I didn't get a ticket or anything, so I didn't get billed valet parking somehow. So I'm okay with that. Put stuff in our room, packed stuff over to the Baird Convention Center with the shuttle. Tried to roughly figure out where the Heresy Hall was, figured that out, carried stuff in, met up with Lucas and the Ferrix Company, started unpacking stuff there, met up with Gabe and a couple others who were coming through, met up with Jack. After I went with Gabe to go get the rest of our stuff over to the Heresy Hall. Went through the security check-ins twice, and for me it was really easy because I kept saying, I'm staff, I'm carrying stuff over to the Heresy Hall for whatever, and I didn't have to get bag checked. Hint, hint, hint to anyone who wants to listen. Doing something like that might get you through security early if you're wanting to bring something in that you may or may not be supposed to have. Went into the Heresy Hall.
I got yelled at by security before finding y'all because I parked on the street, paid the toll, and I was like, oh, it'll probably take an hour or so to unload, so I paid for an hour and a half. Walked in through security, talked to the people, and then tried to walk out. And apparently I walked out the in lane in a completely open room without the security cordon set up. So I don't know how I did that, but I did.
Yeah. Helped John after we discovered which one of the loading docks was actually for loading and not other loading and not other people's loading. Helped bring all that stuff in. Went and found out finally where all the terrain was supposed to be for us. And then went and acquired mats for us and some for Ferrix, and then found more terrain because we didn't have enough terrain. And then finally we had enough terrain and started getting the tables all set up. Then broke down tables once they were already set up because we needed to rearrange the tables. Then deleted a row of tables because apparently that was for another game system that was right beside us that never used those tables.
No,
we could have been.
They used them on Saturday.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
Oh, well, I didn't see that, so kudos to you for seeing that. And then tried to figure out food, which was really kind of difficult.
It was easy for me. I don't know what you're talking about.
I brought you food.
Yes, John brought us food. That was really nice of him. And then, yeah, that was pretty much the end of day Wednesday after picking up my bag and everything else. Went back to the hotel, fell asleep, woke up, and then it was Thursday.
Was Wednesday the Crater meetup, or was that Thursday?
That was Wednesday.
Oh, that was Wednesday.
That was Wednesday.
Yeah, we went. When did the Creator meetup?
Yep. Shook hands with other creators. Literally, I think 4 of them.
Yeah, saw a few people that I knew. Saw a lot of people I didn't know. Spent about an hour up there.
World's worst bourbon.
Yeah. Oh God. It had whatever that bourbon was called.
Red,
that was
something dark side something.
Bad flavored bourbon side. Yeah. Came back to the Heresy Hall. Did Heresy Hall stuff. Went back to the room. Went to sleep. Woke up. Then it was Thursday. Brian, what did you do on Wednesday?
Little bit of packing, getting stuff around. Fought with the wife some more. Fought with the dog some more. Abandoned my children with my sister. And then went to sleep. That was my Wednesday.
Jamie, how about your Wednesday?
That was me driving back to Birmingham going to work. So like, I didn't go to Adepticon, everybody. I'm sorry, but I was yeah, wife had to work that week, and I had to take care of the kids for spring break. That's what I got to do.
It happens. We miss you.
Yep.
I missed you all. But yeah, I actually really missed you all a lot. I'm going through withdrawals.
So I guess that takes us to Thursday. So who wants to take us into Thursday?
Start off Thursday. The guys that I drove up with stayed at a hotel that was not connected to the con because they wanted to save some money. And I'm going to advise everyone, whatever money you're saving, you're going to take it out of yourself in the long run like these gentlemen did. They stayed at the Knickerbocker Hotel, 5 miles from the event. That doesn't sound like a lot in driving distance, but it is when you have to walk it because it's not connected to the event, so there was no shuttle. So I got a text Thursday morning saying, John, can you pick us up? Our event starts in 20 minutes. And so I drove over and picked him up. It took me a little longer than 20 minutes, but went over and picked him up and drove him to the event.
You made it 5 miles there and back in a city in like 20 minutes?
Oh no, it took me long. It took me longer to get ready than that, and then it took me
Okay,
longer
I
to
was like-
drive over there.
I was like, dude, you're being an awesome Uber driver.
Yeah, I told them they'd have to pay for lunch, and then we ended up eating a bunch of other stuff places, but I'll get it from them eventually because they're all local. But
I'll get it.
yeah, it was just kind of like a, why didn't y'all think of this a little bit? Like, we thought it wouldn't be that bad to walk, or we could crash other places. Like, yeah, it's something to think about for next year.
So I have a question for you all. Since you all went, and apparently Duncan and Jack stayed at a different hotel than John and Brian. Did you stay with them, or did you stay at a different hotel too?
Brian
We
stayed with
crashed
me
with
and his
John.
wife.
Okay. So, as a person that didn't go this year, that is interested in going next year, like some of the people, is there a recommendation on hotel that you should try and get because there's so many of them?
I would say if you can get something that's connected, do that. Apparently, some of the people that were in the connected hotels, there was still security, but it wasn't as bad as the security that I had to go through and Duncan had to go through, which is the main security entrance. There's only 4 lanes, roughly 2 people working each lane, and then an overseer. So every person that walked up, no matter what their bag was, even if it was see-through Tupperware army case, they still had to pop it open and look inside. That doesn't sound like a lot. It takes 30 seconds a person. The line went out the building and around the block.
Well, I was going to say, I mean,
Wow.
you have like 8 to 10,000 people there that they have to check, sometimes multiple times. It takes a while.
Yeah, that's what I got when I walked in. Another time I walked in with some scissors that I thought we needed for cutting out some stuff for the event. And I set it on the table. I was like, hey, this is going to trigger your thing. I've got some scissors. And the lady didn't understand what was going on and approached me with the wand. And for those that don't know, I have a medical implant. I can't be wanded. And so I jumped back and like, you can't do that to me. I have a medical implant. And she goes, oh, okay, go on through. Never looked at the scissors, never looked at anything. So I heard stories of people getting in like things of booze and not having issues. I know after that, I had taken in some of my drink packets that I mixed up for electrolyte water to help me kind of stay hydrated through the event, because that was my main complaint, is the fact that we didn't have a water thing in the in the room that we were in. You had to leave the room to go to the restroom to use a water fountain to get water. And so sometimes there was a line of people filling up water bottles there.
So there were supposed to be a number of filling stations for water bottles. Apparently, they were only over in the new building that and by we I mean Adepticon, not the Heresy group, had access to the third and fourth floor only. Apparently, they were over there. We should have seen them when we were doing the content creator meet and greet, but I did
we
not
did.
witness any.
I saw
didn't
one when I went to the bathroom at the creator event, and it's built into the wall at those new buildings. There's no way to move it.
I didn't even look, so I didn't know. But yeah, we had a water fountain by the not a loading dock that John used, and then we had sinks in the bathrooms.
Yep.
So please continue, John. How was the rest of your Thursday?
Thursday was pretty good. I didn't play anything Thursday, so I helped y'all man the booth, kind of set up all the swag stuff, got everything organized a little bit better. Got Christina's photo booth set up. Made sure the smoke machine worked. Made sure the fountain worked. Made sure all the devices were charged and everything was going that way. That was pretty much it for me.
Okay. Jack, how was your Thursday?
Woke up. Went and got some Starbies. That was nice.
Hold on, what? Starbies?
Starbies. Yeah.
Starbucks. Okay,
Starbies.
Sorry. Huh?
Starbies. You know Starbies. Everybody knows
No,
Starbies.
I don't drink coffee.
Jack is a basic white woman. Just remember that. That's all you need to know.
I am. See here. Helped. However, I helped with checking in stuff for Duncan's event. Talked to a lot of people. Talked to more people. Then I ran an event. I don't remember how many tickets I was supposed to have. Ended up with 8 people in my event. But my event was very much of a 2-round. You all are all adults. Have fun. Please don't talk to me.
Which is fair.
Everybody seemed to have a good time. I handed out a couple of the trophies. I also handed out 2 of the Pledge Your Alliance allegiance, one traitor, one loyalist, to 2 guys that were this cool basically the whole entire time we were there. So it was very loose on the, hey, you we're cool. Here's this for you. Here's that for you. That type of thing. Went shopping, bought the first round of paints because I just kept buying out the blue glaze wherever I saw it. Just kept buying that. Then I think I had lunch. May have had a short nap at a table, because that's what I'm always famous for, is sleeping at a table. And then I kicked it over to Duncan for him to talk about his event.
I guess there's the shopping goof up. So when the doors finally opened for vendor, I went ahead and went through while Duncan was manning the booth instead, and I went to Steam Forge Games because they had a giant T3 rack of paint, and the rack was full at the top, and the overflow stuff at the bottom was kind of haphazardly put up, so it looked like it had just been refilled, but looked like it was in use. And there's a guy running the booth standing right next to me, and I pick up a paint. And I pick up more paint, and I get to about my 6th paint, and the guy goes, "Oh, sorry, mate, those aren't for sale. I hate to burst your bubble." And I just kind of look at him like, "You saw me doing this for 5 minutes. You couldn't say anything? You couldn't put up a sign that you weren't selling paints?" There are people changing money all over the booth for other stuff, but that rack was off limits.
But they did that last year too in Chicago, didn't they?
Army Painter did that,
Army Painter.
supposedly this year they were doing it. So I don't know what's going on. I just know that sometimes you're going to walk up to a booth and will not be able to buy anything when you think you should be able to.
Well, I can honestly tell you that in Army Painter's case, if it's the actual Army Painter company, the way that their business license is done out of Belgium, I believe, they're not legally allowed to sell things themselves here in the US. They have to work through distribution or a subsidiary. So
Gotcha.
unless it was another company selling for them, they couldn't do it. And last year, the Fanatic line wasn't even released yet, so they had it there, but they couldn't sell it. It was a mess.
Okay.
Well, this year they were selling some con exclusive water cups at the Army Painter booth and some other stuff that was exclusive to the convention. So I know they were selling something.
Yeah, they might have found a workaround. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's just a kind of a pain that there's no signs on either of these booths that say we can't sell to you. I know it's a first world problem to complain about.
No, I mean, it's a legitimate complaint. I mean, they had the rack set up, they had the paints there. It's almost like you would expect people to be able to buy them.
And there was plenty of room behind the booth that they could have put it back there and said, "Look, this is what's coming soon."
Yeah, especially that coal black that everybody and their grandfather wants.
Yeah, Coal Black and Roulette Gold were ones that I have had 2 of each in my hand for.
I'm not even gonna pretend I'm surprised. You could have just gone out there and pulled out all the coal black and brought it down to the Heresy Hall, and they would have been sold within minutes.
Had a significant markup, man.
Yeah,
Yep.
no joke. So Thursday morning, I woke up. I went downstairs to the bottom of the St. Kate Hotel where we were staying, which is not attached to Adepticon and is about 2.5, maybe 3 miles away, and has a shuttle to Adepticon. Had some breakfast. Had a decent cup of coffee. Not Starbucks, just coffee. I poured into my giant mug that says World Eaters on it, and thank you, Josh, our friend, for that cup. I really appreciate those. Drove over to the Heresy Hall on the shuttle. Got started setting up for my game, which was the Crisis in the Grail Abyss. I think we had 30 players we were supposed to be able to have. We had 28 players show up. And then I had another 2 people roll in after that who went upstairs and registered. So we were either at capacity or near capacity. Ran 3 games. Everyone seemed to enjoy their narrative. It was escalation. Saw a lot of stuff, a lot of new play. I will stress this. Saw a lot of new players playing. Everyone seemed to have a good time. A number of people came up with asking questions about the rules pack, how everything was to be done. Got to meet Miriam. Had a good time talking with her. I think she actually came away with one of the awards at the end of everything. I think it was Player's Choice Favorite.
I believe that's correct.
I believe it is too. Then like I said, I ran that event. Gave away a lot of posters. Gave away a whole giant pile of stickers. Sold posters, sold stickers. Directed people to everything we were doing. Talked to a lot of old friends. Talked to a lot of new friends. Shook a lot of hands. Kissed a lot of babies. You know, regular Duncan is the social butterfly, according to Jack. So that went on. Saw a number of friends from the original Accountability Buddies group, and by that I mean George. Saw George, hung out with George. George is always cool to hang out with. Unfortunately, did not see the De La Rosa brothers because they didn't make it. Didn't see Pretty because he didn't make it. No Jake because he didn't make it, which was sad for all of them.
Hey, we had Flat Pretty.
We did have Flat Pretty up, and we did have Flat Joe up there. And Flat Pretty and Flat Joe were sitting there helping us to run event rules and questions and man the desk. I also got to saw them playing a game, so I was really happy to see that. And then at the end of that, did a lot of the traditional hanging out in the Heresy Hall with people. I think that was the day I discovered that there was a brat vendor outside of the Heresy Hall doors who sold a very overpriced brat and an overpriced hot dog. So I ate my overpriced brat and it was tolerable. I wish it had spicy brown mustard, but that's just me. But it was a brat and kraut, so it was not bad. May have popped open a bottle of bourbon that might have been somehow smuggled into the Adepticon Hall. I don't know how that possibly could have got there. No one knows, but I don't know how it got there, but it was there. And then called it a night there. Jack, was that the night we went to the burger place, or was Friday the night?
Miller Genuine Grill and Bar across the
yes,
street.
That's the night we went there, wasn't it?
Yep.
Had some slightly overdone wings, which Jack prefers his wings slightly overdone.
They were good.
Yeah, they were. I had some cheese curds that were. I'll go ahead and say they were really good. And had a greasy burger that was exactly what I wanted. That was done exactly how I wanted it done, and was perfect. And somehow it costs less than a meal at McDonald's. So I was happy with that. Went back to the hotel, crashed out. Then I turned it over to Brian because Brian made an appearance on Thursday.
Okay, my Thursday. Let's see, how did that start? I had alarm set and things staged to load into the truck for all this to happen at 7 a.m. I promptly slept through said alarms, woke up after 9, got loaded into the truck and on the road after arguing with the dog and the wife at about noon. Drove over to Wisconsin. We got there. It's probably pretty close to 5 p.m. their time, inferior time, Central Standard Time. We parked in the parking structure at the Baird Center because we really didn't have a clue what to expect, where to go, loading dock situations, anything like that. We didn't have much to bring in, but we had some stuff that we needed to bring in for the judges' tables and extra stuff just in case we needed it, like extension cords and all sorts of nonsense. So we got my wheelchair loaded up with me and my bag and some stuff. We got our little radio flyer folding cart all piled high and bungee corded down. And we started walking from the north side of that whole double block setup that is the Baird Center, because that is where the parking structure is. And we got to the road that cuts underneath part of the Baird Center and divides it in half. Wife and I looked at each other and went, well, which way do we go, left or right to cross? Because there's no crossings in the middle. And I went, let's go right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, something that Adepticon and the Baird Center neglected to inform anybody that I saw anywhere is that there is only one freaking door to get into the Baird Center from the outside, and that is on the southeast corner of the Baird Center with their security shenanigans, right?
Yeah, that sounds about
Yep.
right.
So we basically went all the way around that entire block to get to the one door that would get us access because of their failure to communicate. No signs posted, no notifications via email that I saw. There was nothing in the app that I saw. To be honest with you, I'm pretty freaking annoyed about it, especially after paying, I don't know, $38 for parking for half a day. Very sad. But we made it. We hit security. Security at that point was a pretty big joke. We basically just pushed our giant cart full of bungee corded madness through with game mats bungeed down on top of army cases and like 15 Menards bags and all sorts of nonsense. They didn't even look at it. They were not very well communicating about how they wanted us to get the wheelchair through. So it just kind of resorted to my wife hurtling me through the security gates, and then just I would freewheel out into the ether on the other side, and they just go, "Hey, I need to search your bag," and I'd tell them, "You can't. It's a medical bag." And then they'd go, "Well, I need to search your bag," and I'm like, "Too bad," and I would just roll away. So it got kind of silly there, and then we bumped into Duncan, Jack, John, everybody that was there. I think Gabe was hanging out a fair bit. Derek, Zach, all them guys, other Dereks, and just hopped into it at the very last minute for Duncan's event. We're there for awards and getting everything all squared away for the next day. Then we figured out hotel stuff with John. After some trials and tribulations, eventually figured out where the parking structure was for John's hotel. Got parked. We loaded everything from the truck that we could fit onto my lap in the wheelchair. So Jess could push me I think it was 2 blocks that we wound up going over to the hotel. And we found every single bad piece of sidewalk on the way between. Milwaukee is definitely not high quality on their sidewalk conditions. Kind of like Michigan sidewalks, they're all blown out from oversalting. And then we hung out with John for a minute and we went to bed.
You got a blankie.
We did get a blankie for the doggy.
Nice.
So now he can and I don't know if we want to go there on this podcast, but he's definitely Sig Zeoning like in the anime. And we'll leave it at that.
He's a
Good
good
enough.
boy.
Don't know what
So
that is,
that
but
kind-
sounds great.
Yeah. So that kind of, I think, takes us up to Friday. Actually, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. Jamie, what did you do Thursday?
I was at work. And I had to little kitty soccer practice.
Okay.
Wow.
So, John, you want to tell us about your Friday?
Yeah, so Friday I played doubles with Gabe. So we had a pretty interesting list. He brought his Ultramarines and I brought the Oops All Sentinels Cobra list. So I had 2 units of 6 scoring Sentinels with multi-lasers, the Arvis full of a command squad, and 3 units of 2 Vanquisher Russes. And then Gabe had his usual 10 last cannons with an Armistos, 10 Volkites with an Armistos, and then some tactical squads and a librarian somewhere in there as well. First couple games were really good. Third game was a little weird, but we played through it and we had fun.
What was your first opponent?
First opponent? You mean second opponent?
Yeah, sure.
Our second opponent was the host of the Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast, Jack and Duncan.
Oh, okay. How'd that game go?
That was pretty good. You know, for micro celebrities, they're a really nice guy.
Micro. Wow, micro. We've made it, Jack. Finally.
Yep.
So proud of us.
Emphasis on micro.
So
We're all B-list celebrities.
we don't even make Z. We're like maybe double Z. So how was your first game or the game with the others?
Oh, that was a good game. We liked that. It was definitely kind of Gabe and I getting to know each other. Gabe was saying that he needs to bring a D20 along for every round to figure out how many times I stab myself on the little acupuncture needles. But other than that, it was a good game.
Okay. So you played that. Did you do anything after that game or after those games?
Not that I remember. It's been a while.
Okay. Jack, how was your Friday?
Well, I woke up, bust my hair, put on a little makeup, went down to the Heresy Hall with you. Brought my own coffee this time, so there's no Starbucks today. Then sat there and watched to see if I would have to play that day. Spoilers from John. I ended up having to play that day. We played a first game against two guys from Minnesota, north of the Twin Cities, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Brothers.
Yep.
Can talk. Really, really great game with them. Second game was against John and Gabe. That was fun. Third game helped me with a third game because I was getting tired at that point.
Bergeron and Jeremy.
Oh, that was Bergeron. How did I forget that?
Talent.
Oh, because Bergeron didn't beat me up this year. Last year he physically assaulted me all during the game. This year he just mentally assaulted me, and then I assaulted his friend.
That's fair.
Jeremy.
Jeremy's very assaultable.
And then hung out for a little bit. I was planning on hightailing out Saturday afternoon. So said my goodbyes to everybody. Grabbed a hot dog on the way out. Went back to the hotel room and proceeded to pack to leave the next day. Duncan?
So stopped at breakfast at the St. Kate Hotel. Got more coffee. Went over to the con hall. Helped get people registered for everything. Helped run the booth. Gave away more stuff. Sold more stuff. Had fun. Met more new people. Got told that Jack and I had to play. So our first game, as Jack alluded to, was with a pair of brothers from Minnesota. They were cool. It was a fun game. Both of them were kind of new to Heresy, but their list was fun. It was Raven Guard and Salamanders.
No.
It was Salamanders, and what was the other one?
It was T-Sons and Imperial Fists.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, T-Sons and Imperial Fists. That's right. My bad. I misspoke. That was a fun game. They were still new. I think they were called. It's escaping me because I cannot recall their names or the name of their team. But still, they were cool. It was a neat game. Fun game. Then played against Gabe and John. Had fun game there. Jack and I were playing the 3K World Eater list split in half. The oops all Phalanx Blades. And we oopsed all Phalanx Blades. And they oopsed guns at us, and then we oopsed all Phalanx Blades at them, and then they oopsed guns at us, and it went back and forth as it always does. Then we played Bergeron and Jeremy, and I'm going to go ahead and say this. Bergeron's Warhounds list and his army he had there was absolutely gorgeous.
I think he posted pictures of it tonight.
He has?
Got pictures of it.
He has, and it was absolutely gorgeous. I loved the army. I love the way the schemes come together. I love the way it looks. And then I saw Jeremy's White Scars, and I said, if I ever want to do White Scars, I need to get really good pictures of Jeremy's White Scars so I can try to pattern after them. And so I took a lot of pictures of Jeremy's army during the game because the White Scars were amazing. After having painted an entire army of white with the World Eaters, I know how hard it can be to paint white at times, but that army was phenomenal looking. It was really good. I loved every second I took.
For some reason, every time you took a picture of his White Scars, it had a picture of his crotch was directly behind it. Like, I noticed that was odd.
That was 100% intentional. I want you to remember that. We had a great game there. They ended up winning. I think it was player's choice or player's favorite overall.
Yeah.
They're always good guys to play. Their team was Good Times and War Crimes. I can't remember what our team name was. It was either HABB hosts or
Did,
I
did,
don't remember. It
did
was
we
just
have a
us
team
being us.
name?
Yeah, we had a team name. It mattered apparently. I don't remember what it was.
Well, they had like matching uniforms and all that too.
They did. They did.
Uniform,
We had
shorts, hats,
Yep.
cod pieces.
Yep. We had pants and shirts, which was important because no one wants to see us without pants or shirts. Then Jack dipped out. I spent the evening hanging out with people, John, other people, Brian, other people, talking with people, having a good time. Ended up getting sushi from upstairs because by the time we all decided we were hungry, that was pretty much the only thing that was left. It was either them or whatever the Chinese food place was, and I wasn't really feeling Chinese food because it was just generic Chinese food. Whereas
You
It was a
didn't
good
make
call.
a bad choice.
what was it got?
You made a good call from both me and Brian.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad we did that. The sushi was actually really tasty, and it did not destroy my guts or anything else. So I successfully survived the Wisconsin equivalent of truck stop sushi with con sushi. Went back to the room, crashed, woke up the next morning. Brubberai, what did you do on Friday?
I didn't sleep because I was still taking that like road high from driving through Chirac on high levels of caffeine and getting progressively more mad at toll roads and diversions because of construction and car accidents and getting forced to use my card for toll payments and then them not giving my card back, almost forcing me to get out of my truck at points to try and get my card out of their machines because their machines were so terrible. Oh, sorry, that was the day before. I'm having a brain fart. No, Friday. Friday, I woke up with John. His alarm went off. I don't even know when. I didn't sleep because as I started saying, I was still riding high on the caffeine and adrenaline. Got around, walked with John and my wife over to the convention center. That was probably a little bit after 7.
Yep.
Went through security. They were a joke. Told me once again they had to look through my bag. I said no. And they didn't understand that. And I just rolled away. I just found it more and more amusing every time it happened. Since I'm diabetic, I have a medical bag I have to keep with me in case I have like low blood sugar levels that make me go comatose. There's some stuff in there to shoot up into my nostril to bring me back to life, essentially, as well as some other medical supplies that are very relevant, as well as I have to keep certain snacks around me in case I start getting low and I don't have immediate access to food. So that was all in my bag, and I'm not going to sit there and argue with them about, oh, you can't bring this food in or whatever, because, it's none of their business anyway. We went over to the hall, met up with all the guys. Jack and Duncan were already there. We started manning the booth and just hung out for pretty much the rest of the day. Chatted with people as they came by, caught up with a bunch of friends. My wife wound up going back to the hotel and sleeping for like 6 hours. And then she came back and had grabbed us food from one of the restaurants nearby, which was really good. Don't remember the name of it, but it was some barbecue stuff. Then we went back inside and continued hanging out and watching the event wrap up. I think at one point in there, we cruised up through the vendor hall and I didn't really see anything that caught my eye, so the only things I bought at Adepticon were some things from Fearix, a flag from Jack, and I think that was about it.
Okay.
Not a big Adepticon merchandise haul for me. I didn't need to buy a new airbrush because I've got a new to me Infinity that I got last year that I still have not used yet. And then, we did dinner with John, Leslie, and Duncan. Jack had already taken off, I believe.
No, Jack had gone back to the hotel.
Yep. And the Chinese food was definitely not a good idea. I was up all that night with the sickness.
Down with the sickness.
Yep.
Well, that just makes me. Well, I'm sorry you were down with the sickness. It does make me feel better about my choice to go for the sushi somehow.
Jess had it the next day, and she said, you know what? This is absolutely probably the best thing to get here at the con. Because for pretty much what I would pay back in Michigan, I get the same roll.
The Philippine place I kept going to for lunch was pretty good. It was just chicken on white rice. That was decent. A little expensive at $15, but
So
Yeah.
the stuff that I was seeing was that the lunch stuff in the con hall was excessively expensive even compared to like the place in Chicago previously. Is that correct?
Yeah.
yeah, I would say
Yeah.
it was more expensive, but it was better quality too. So
Agreed.
like before you were paying $8 for just the chicken tenders, now you're paying 15 for white rice and chicken,
Okay.
which was good, but
I
it
heard
was like
definitely
two of
wasn't
those to
bad.
fill me up. Yeah,
I
it took
heard
like two
that
of those to
the,
fill me up. I had the pork and it was like at the end of the day it was super dry.
I heard
Yeah.
the beverages were excessively expensive.
Yeah.
$6
So
for a
I
Coke.
bought a single alcoholic beverage from
Tall
them.
boy. A tall boy. You bought a tall boy.
No, I bought a bourbon the first day.
No, you got that fruity drink the next day.
I did. So the first day of the con at the meet and greet, as Jack and I commented, I bought a bourbon and Coke. It was bourbon and Pepsi with their local bourbon, and I think that was $7 or $8 for that. And then I had a tall boy of some strawberry apple cider thing, and that was like $14
15.
for a tall boy. 15? Okay, yeah. And after that, I didn't drink another one. But yeah, prices on some of the drinks and everything there were a little crazy.
And you
But it definitely encouraged me to drink a lot more water than I normally would.
So you said that there weren't water tanks available in the halls, or no?
Nope.
Nope.
It was just the two water fountains, and after doing some experimentation, the child one shot a little bit higher, so you got a little bit more water in your water jugs you brought along.
Gotcha.
Which really kind of messed me up because I did not drink enough water over the weekend for sure.
Yeah, I know I didn't. I had the electrolyte packs, otherwise I wouldn't have made it.
So then had that was the end of Friday for me. Jamie, how was your Friday?
Oh my god.
Ben, I got to go to work, and then my wife had to work a double that day, and so I had to tend the kids when I got home, and then I'll just go ahead and go with Saturday. She had to work a double as well. We had our dishwasher die, and I had to go order a new dishwasher, which is not going to be in till next weekend. And I had to install a ceiling fan in one of my kids' rooms because he got a bunk bed, and the ceiling fan, the sweep of it was too long, and basically if he was sleeping, the ceiling fan would crack him in the face. So,
Oh God!
I don't see a problem with that.
I had to get a ducted, there's like a ring around it ceiling fan, but the ring is actually a light source too. So it actually added a lot of light into his room, which is, I guess, a good thing. But
Okay.
yeah, It was, oh yeah, I also forgot. I got 3 tons of mulch that I had in the back of my pickup truck that I had to drive into my front yard and dump all that mulch out by hand. So, yes, I wish I was at Adepticon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
And I forgot. I was also printing stuff for John that whole time. That whole week after I got back.
okay. Well, I guess that kind of takes us to Saturday. And let's just go ahead and lead off with John, as always. John, what'd you do Saturday?
Oh yeah, Saturday. So we showed up pretty early. Bride slept in a bit. I got over there and we started trying to figure out if we were gonna be the ringers for the quads or not. And turns out we were needed. So we ended up playing the quad games. We had, I want to say, 3 great games. Or 2 great games. Y'all both got to laugh at me as I stabbed myself multiple times. Or y'all all got to laugh at me as I stabbed myself multiple times with the damn things, and ended up just turning them over after a while because I was tired of you complaining about them, even though no one got close enough until I threatened you with it. So,
Not true.
yeah,
You came over and physically assaulted me with one of them.
yeah, like I said, I threatened you with it. That's when you got assaulted with it.
Okay.
That was pretty much what I remember. I also went to the vendor hall and picked up a couple of weathering books. One on weathering aircraft and another one on airbrushing and weathering techniques.
Okay. Saturday was also the day I went and did my con shopping. And I got my Infinity, and I got some other paint thing. I think that was really about all I got.
On your Infinity, do you know if it's the new one?
Yeah, it's the 2024 one.
Cool.
I also played the teams event on Saturday, as did Jack and as did Brian. Unfortunately, there was no coffee at the hotel on Saturday, so I bought 2 cups of con coffee, poured them into my my coffee cup, and I would rather have drunk day old truck stop coffee because the coffee at the con was some of the most foul, quote unquote, coffee I've ever had. And as a big giant floating head, it really offended me.
You don't like brown water?
I planned ahead a little bit, and I had it's a caffeinated drink mix that I use occasionally called Madrinas. I had the Halo chocolate cookie
Yes.
flavor, and that was pretty good. And I'll admit that I swapped my usual coffee for that, thinking that way I don't have to pay for overpriced coffee and I don't have to fight anybody early in the morning.
I wish there was some left for me to have dumped that into my abomination that they called coffee, but there wasn't. But it was okay, so I survived. Had 3 good games with Jack, John, and Bri. Really enjoyed the day. Did my shopping. Hung out with people. I don't remember. Oh yes, I do. I ended up door dashing food from a random burger place in Milwaukee back to the hotel after everything was all said and done, and the burger was actually pretty good. I got also something called cheese crack that was basically deep fried cheese in a dill ranch and um, um, blue cheese sauce that tasted really odd, but was also addictively good. And I don't really like blue cheese, so the fact that it was all 3 mixed together was different. So that was pleasant enough. And that was the end of my Saturday. Jack, how did your Saturday go?
Good. I finally got to play a game with Bri. He was the first round that we did. That was
Yep.
see here, Iron Warriors and
Mechanicum.
There you go. The Iron
With
Warriors
dual
player.
siege Thanatars.
What's that, sir?
They had dual siege Thanatars.
Yep. Starting off, they shook hands, all that good stuff. The guy said, "Hey, I have this trophy. If you kill my dreadnought, just let you know, nobody's getting it all weekend. I said, cool deal about that. And then at the end of the game, I killed his dreadnought and I got the trophy. I will say your list of oops all whatever it is.
Alex Blades.
Sure, we'll go with that. Do not like Iron Hands with Feel No Pain and all the other Iron Warrior shenanigans where you just don't kill them fast enough. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Oh, like a Lemmy Iron Hands list of congratulations, it's turn 2. You've killed 16 immortals.
Yeah. Game 2 was me and John against a Ultramarines player and Alpha Legion. That was set up hot dogs, and Alpha Legion got a little bit too close on the hot dog to disembarking rampagers. And the Ultramarines player, brand new to the game. Big takeaway from that game was the post game talking to him about adding on to his list and good ideas for doing Ultramarines and just that type of thing. Just like trying to help him out being brand new to the hobby because he was of their group one of the new ones that they got together last minute to come up for the team game. And then round 3 was me and Duncan, so it was double World Eaters against a Iron Hands. Somehow I got another Iron Hands player and Salamander. And all I know is Duncan gave the Salamander player bad touch. And then I attempted to give the bad touch to the Iron Hands player. And even though it was a team game, it ended up being 2, I don't know, valleys of this assaulting rampagers going up against these other guys. And we both could have played independently of each other and would have been okay.
Which we mostly did.
Yeah, we mostly did. After that, Powerful Ned showed up Saturday, so I got to talk to him. Missed that fool. Hopefully he'll be putting out stuff here soon. He did a lot of Battletech stuff. See here. Said my goodbyes to everybody after round 3. Because of work, I hadn't been home since Monday morning. So I left out of Milwaukee. I left a hotel at 6. And I got back to my house by 1:50 a.m. 1:50 a.m. Yeah, 1:50 a.m. That's with stopping at one point and getting gas and food. So I shaved 30 minutes off of my drive, driving through Chicago. I don't know what all these people are crying about driving to Chicago. I had a great time driving through Chicago. It was just there, back, there. Followed some people who had no regard to local speeding ordinances. Love those fools. And then slept in my own bed Saturday night, which was just fantastic. See here, Brian, have you talked about your Saturday yet?
Nope.
Oh, what are you doing on Saturday, man?
I had been up pretty much the whole night with the Revenge of China. So got up a little bit with John's alarm, and he kind of got himself around, got set up, and then he looked over at me and said he's heading over to the con, help get around for the event, which is the team quads. I just kind of laid there with the wife. She really wasn't awake yet. Slowly got myself around, eventually got a message saying, hey, we are playing. So we hurried on over to the convention center. I used my handy dandy cheating powers of being in a wheelchair for the weekend and kind of cut the line through security like an asshole. No regrets. Once again, told them, no, you can't look in my bag, and wheeled away. Got over just in time to get my army out and get over the first table. And had a wonderful game with Jack where he immediately accused me of being a racist piece of shit.
Huh.
As Jack does.
As Jack does.
He can't defend himself right now because he's away from his chair. So I'm going to pick on him mercilessly.
As you should.
And of course, I just looked at him immediately and kind of yelled out, "Well, listen, I killed your Black Dreadnought one time as he was running at me." And our opponents just started laughing. And it kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. And we all had a good time. My next game was with Duncan. That was a pretty good game. I actually did stuff in that game. The first game, the only thing I did was I inflicted one wound to a siege Thanatar, making it explode and hurt some other stuff, which was exactly what Jack needed out of me out of that game.
Sounds absolutely reasonable to me.
Yep. And the last game was John and I against an Ultramarine Armored Spearhead and a Blood Angels Day of Revelation combo. And they got first turn. We did not seize. And he and I just kind of went, well, we'll see how bad this hurts. And it hurt bad. Mostly John that first turn. I think they killed like half of his Lehman Russes and almost half of his Sentinels in the first turn of shooting.
Yep.
And then our turn came. I pushed out of our deployment zone a little bit. Couldn't even really engage anything yet because there was nothing there. John did his shooting. He did some stuff, but it wasn't nearly enough to offset what was about to come. Because their turn 2, we got Day of Revelation, a bunch of red guys on jetpacks, screaming bloody murder, landed in my face. My interceptor fire from the one squad that could was pretty weak. Then he charged me and absolutely clobbered the bejesus out of me. And I think whatever John had left basically got killed that turn 2 by the Ultramarine player.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a good time despite getting our butts absolutely walloped. I don't think we scored any points.
No, we didn't kill a single unit.
Which is funny because we had all the
think
scoring
a
units.
Predator. Yeah.
So we knew Duncan was going to pick on us because, you know, the two teammates that had every single scoring unit on the team didn't score a single point.
I'm just gonna not comment because I find that funny.
It is funny. Saturday night, I wound up linking up with a bunch of the indie crowd. Nick, Lemmy, Kurt, Chris, a few guys that were new to me that I don't think I've ever met before. We had a great misadventure going to get what Lemmy called Greek McDonald's.
Okay.
It was basically like a shawarma place.
Okay.
But like shawarma was not the prominent thing on their menu.
Gotcha. We have
It was pretty amusing.
We have a summer place here that's like, as you would call it, Greek McDonald's. It's kind of like shawarma, Mediterranean food, but their big deal is they do chicken wings and tenders and stuff like that. So, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, pretty similar vibes. They also had Philly cheesesteak sandwiches, which is what the wife and I got. And I mean, outside of like, I've never had paprika on one of those sandwiches before.
That's kind of interesting.
That was different. It was a pretty good sandwich. Lemmy almost killed me a couple times going there and coming back. It was cold and rainy. He didn't bring a coat, so he was using me as a wind block. And then as the trip back to the con was downhill. He jumped on the back of my wheelchair and rode it for a little ways. And I just had the thought in my head, this is how I die. So,
all right.
then eventually we just got back to the con, hung out, went back to the hotel, went to bed. That was my Saturday.
So,
Wait, what about you, Jamie?
well, Jamie already went.
Already said it.
He already
Already
went.
went.
I'm gonna
Oh,
go
yeah.
guess that his Sunday is more the same. Duncan walked away for a second, so we're not doing that gag anymore. My Sunday was waking up in my bed, eating home cooked meals, and not being at a con with my homies that I love dearly. But it was also nice to hang out with the family for the first time in 7 days. See here, John, do you want to talk about your Sunday morning, sir?
Yeah, so I'd sign up for Duncan's 4K event. Game one was against Ezra from Canada, who I hadn't seen since Heresy Camp. We hit back in the annals of history. And that was a blast of a little game. I ended up with a crap ton of points because of the way it worked out. And then game two, looked like there was a bunch of people that dropped, so I ended up playing Barth, who kind of showed up just to be a ringer. He really didn't have anything else to do, and he saw that I was bored, so we played a quick little game. It was definitely a blast having something to do on Sunday, and then kind of a nice, relaxing, just get everything out of the system and just kind of chill. And then we moved on to Metters, which is a kind of German grill place that's about a 10-minute walk from the hobby. You're from the Baird Center. And honestly, I had the pork shank there, and it was magical to the point where I think that that's just going to be a post-con tradition. Is just going over there to get delicious meats.
So they had schnitzel, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah.
What about Remy
Joe
Lund?
that was with us had schnitzel, and they only have like 6 plates to choose from, but they all look delicious.
Cool. Always up for good German food.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was pretty much my Sunday.
All right. What about you, Bri? How was your Sunday?
Slept in. Wasn't playing in anything. Didn't really have any plans other than at some point the wife and I were going to be packing up and heading back to Michigan. So we wound up just chilling in the hotel, getting stuff packed around and ready so that we could just grab it when we got the truck out of the parking structure. Wound up calling my parents to talk with our boys. That wound up running really long. The wife had gotten like real coffee from downstairs, which I regret not doing days previously, even though if it was Starbucks. As we were wrapping up the call with my parents and my exuberant children, I was standing there by the TV, and all of a sudden the hotel room door just like flings open and a bunch of dudes storm in. And I was like, oh wait, I kind of recognize these guys. It was the dudes that John had driven up with. So we got to hang out with them and chat for a minute. And then the wife and I went over to the Baird Center. I once again told the security people, no, you're not looking in my bag. After my wife literally hurled me through security. They really got to figure out their stuff better for next year. It's embarrassing. We hung out with Duncan, Leslie, John, all the people that were still around Sunday, not you, Jack. Eventually wound up going to grab our truck at like 2 something. Of course, right as soon as we stepped outside, it started pouring rain, which was not forecasted for that time. So that was awesome. Got to our truck, soaking wet, freezing cold. got the truck out of the parking structure, over to the hotel, loaded up that stuff, figured out previously where to best position the truck to load up the red cart full of nonsense, and got that loaded up. Fortunately, we timed it perfectly that the Ferrix guys were loading up all their stuff, so the loading dock was open for a little while. Which this is another point of contention that I have with the Baird Center is they only gave those guys like 15 minutes to load a trailer,
We got less
and
than
then they
5 to load
closed.
my truck.
Yeah, and then they closed the loading dock doors. I mean, granted, they left a guy at the doubled up emergency exit right there, and we're letting them in and out. But I mean, my God, like that's kind of rude. But
Yeah, that
we
seems a
got
little rough.
loaded up. Yeah, we got loaded up. Said our last goodbyes to Duncan and whoever we happened to walk by. I made sure that Duncan got Jack's ginormous black mat.
Yep. That's still sitting
So
here at the house.
You gotta have the BBM.
Yep, the big
the
black mat.
BBM. Then we drove back to Michigan, and it took probably 2 hours longer than it should have with all the additional stops. But when we were going through Chicago, we hit really bad winds of the type that would push you really hard one direction, and then after they stopped, you'd get sucked back over. I didn't realize how bad I was tensing my body while this was going on, but it completely just messed up all my legs and low back from driving through that.
Oh, it's like me
What-
driving a trailer, man. Like towing a trailer.
yeah,
That sucks.
you're like watching all this traffic, like, please don't kill me, please don't kill me. Yeah, it's right up there. But overall, the drive wasn't too bad on the way back. It didn't drag too bad when we got back into Michigan like it normally does. Um, having done that drive many times over the years between jobs I've had where I did a lot of traveling and drove down the stretch of 94. That last like 45 minutes is just like, please kill me now. I'm done. I want to be home. But it wasn't too bad, other than my wife tried to kill me twice by she put on music after I requested music to keep me awake. The slowest, most unexciting country music known to man. And I said, "What are you trying to do to me? We are going to die in a crash." She's like, I don't know. My phone only comes up with this. It's like, does your phone not have a search function where you can look up like, I don't know, Megadeth or something a little more punchy? Sabaton, perhaps?
Anything. Anything.
And then another time, I had stopped to use the restroom, and when I got back in the truck, she was on the phone with one of our neighbors, and something I always have to be wary of when my wife talks with our neighbors. 'Cause I love our neighbors; they're great people, but she will get amped up over a certain topic and get really stressed out. So this started happening because they were talking about things happening in the neighborhood. And my wife still vapes. She quit smoking, but she still vapes, which normally doesn't bother me too much. But when you're in a truck that is not big, it's a regular cab truck with the windows up so that she can hear the neighbor on the call. And she starts hitting her vape hard, like just back to back to back to back, like she's chugging water. After a while, I notice it and I'm like, oh my God, you need to stop because you're going to kill me. Shortly thereafter, I had to pull over onto a McDonald's and sit in the bathroom for a half hour and decide whether or not I needed to puke or not.
Okay.
But that was the only really eventful stuff. We got home about 11 p.m.
That
The
leaves
dog
me.
was the dog was happy to see her.
That's fair. I think that just leaves me left for Sunday. Am I right?
Yep, that is you.
So Sunday, got up, um, packed a little bit of stuff, went over to the Baird Center, ran the Wrath and Ruin 4K event. We had 40 total slots open. We had 36 signups, I think. We had 26 people show up to play. We only played 2 rounds because that's how I set it, because it's a 4K game. And most of the players ran up to the time limit for each of the games, because when you're playing a larger game, that happens. Ran that game, said goodbye to Brian when he left. Watched pretty much everyone else clearing out the entire Heresy Hall that we shared with BattleTech and a couple other smaller game systems. Said goodbye to the Ferrex guys as they packed up. Started packing up and clearing off the tables as we weren't using them and as the event progressed. Had another brat for lunch, because it was there. Discovered that Adepticon did not realize our event was scheduled to run until 5, and this event ran until 5 o'clock. We were apparently the last Adepticon event that was still running.
Yeah, because I think they said the time was 3 was when they were trying to close.
Yeah,
Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. But we were the last event in the actual Heresy Hall. Event went well. Just about everybody ended up getting something out of the swag that was remaining. Everybody had a fun time. Everybody enjoyed themselves. The final tally, I don't have the points total. Zach Paget will be posting that eventually, because they recorded that. But Traitors lost. Loyalists won the overall narrative for the weekend. So the battle for the guild, or the fight in the Grail Abyss, has yes, Jack.
The points were 1,006 to 1,075.
So it was close, but not as close as it could have been.
You know what that difference is,
No, I don't.
Jack?
ABC, always be charging.
69.
Nice.
Oh.
There we go. Well, everybody seemed to have fun. Packed everything up. Packed all of the terrain up. Packed all the mats up as people were leaving. Got to watch and hang out some with Eric Ness, who I get to see only at Adepticon. Saw Dan up there. Hung out with him a bit. Got to watch Dan and Ned play Dan, and then Ned play Eric, or vice versa, however it was. Anyway, it was a good time. Everyone had fun. Said goodbyes. Watched as people left. Packed everything up. Rolled out of the con hall. I was, I think, the last person to leave the Adepticon hall, and by that point, my feet were killing me. So was my back. Threw everything onto the shuttle. Went back to the hotel. Immediately took a very long, very hot shower. Figured out dinner. Passed out. Woke up the next morning at 9 o'clock. Left the hotel after everything was packed in the truck the night before. Left the hotel and made it home. We left at like 9:30. We made it home about 7:30, because of traffic involving overturned semis on the interstate and nonsense. But that is what it was. Overall, had a lot of fun. Saw a lot of people. We'll happily go again, as always. Next year, I will have insoles in my shoes that are not blown out. before going up to Adepticon. Did stop on the way back and get some new shoes because I needed them. So I got some Skechers at the Outlet Mall in Indiana. Happy about that. Beyond and other than that, that's how my Adepticon ended.
Mm-hmm. And
It was a good
Adepticon will
time.
be back to the Bard Center March
Yep.
25th through the 29th of 2026.
Yep. And we do not have the final total tally of attendees, but we do know that it was a 20% increase over the year previous. So I think the last year they said they had something like 8.5, almost 9. So calculator math says
1,700 people more.
yeah.
So just under 10,000.
Just under.
Either just
That sounds
under
about
or
right.
just barely above. It was packed. I know that.
Yep.
1,700 plus 800. Yeah, you're just under. You'd be right around 10,000. Like
Yeah. So, however you slice it, my overall impression of the Baird Center is it felt a lot bigger. It really did. I liked it. Would go again. The end.
Well, I heard that I didn't make it to the bits hall. I was going to try to do it, but it was just too. I don't know. I got lost looking for it. And I just gave up. I heard that it was very small and very cramped in the bits area, and that they're going to try to get something bigger for next year because they basically just gave it one of the normal classroom sizes.
Oh.
Yeah, where it usually
It-
uses something the size of the Heresy Hall.
Like we can, like a recap of thoughts of it is a lot of space to expand. We expanded a lot from year over year in the space that we were given. So much so that it made the con not seem as small and intimate as it was. I know that sounds really weird when you're talking about 8,000 people, but it was out. This, at least for me, being off-site at a hotel, is when I left. I was gone. There was no riding the shuttle back. It was no popping up to the room because we were so spread out. And I know the historical war gamers had to face this the last couple years in Chicago. It was hard just to kind of pop in and see what was going on and where stuff was. Like there's still stuff that was going on that I still have no clue where the rooms were at. Like if somebody was to ask me right now, well, where is this at? Room blah blah. Well, where's that at? Hell if I know. Good luck to you.
Yep.
Let me know if you find it. But that is, for the growth of Adepticon, is very much a good thing. Because something like this needs to keep growing year over year so it doesn't become stagnant and dies off. I will miss the Adepticon of last year. I will miss the Adepticon of 13 years ago. And literally, like, the elevators at the was it Lombardi, having to press the up arrow on the elevators to go down because that's the only way you were going to catch an elevator. Like, I will miss that. That being said, this was a very much good change.
It was.
You know what I don't miss?
What?
Back when it was at the Westin, they had 2 elevators for the whole hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday morning, 40K team tournament, as well as all the other events.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Elevators, no go. Everybody's trying to get to their event at the same time. So what it turned into was a stampede down the freaking stairwell, and somebody crop dusted that whole thing.
Nope. The key was to press up. That was the key, and you were not in a stairwell.
Yep.
And then you gathered all your carts into the elevator, and nobody could get in, and you just pissed off everybody. Not that I would do something like that. No way.
Never
I
saw that
did
happen.
that.
Never saw that happen. Never, ever, ever. Never helped Jack fill the entire elevator with everything we had at all. Overall, my thoughts, I liked it. I liked the new center. There's space to grow in it, as Jack and I found out when we went accidentally wandering in the back when we were trying to find a freight elevator to take us downstairs to the first floor, and we found a massive room that was just as big as the 40K hall and the vendor hall combined, unused and just blocked off. So there's room for everything to grow. So I like that. We'll see how it goes from here.
I have an update from Zach about the number of individual attendees for Heresy.
Oh, that's good.
So it looks like there were 270 unique individuals across 6 different events in 5 days.
Those were only the numbers that were signed up for the ones that we were doing. Fearix
Yeah,
had
so that's not accurate. It's more than that.
Yeah, I talked with Lucas on Sunday, and I believe they had 200 or close to 200 unique attendees. And if you combine the two, as we were talking about, even counting for people who played in both sides, we think we had a total of right around 400 total, 450 total Heresy attendees as a whole.
That feels right.
Considering how many people were at multiple events when all the events were running like on Friday or Saturday, yeah, it really did feel like it. It felt like that entire hall was packed with Heresy players. I look forward to seeing it grow.
Yeah. I think it's like unofficial. A lot of the events that we had this year will be making a comeback for next year. So please plan display tables accordingly.
Yes, that. I look forward to seeing everybody who was there this year again next year. I look forward to seeing people who didn't make it this year next year. And I just look forward to seeing people again because this is the only chance I get to see so many people, and I love seeing them and hanging out. And yeah, maybe not play as many games next year. I'm not sure.
No.
Gone for me are the days when I would have like 10 or 12 games across the entire Adepticon. This year, I think 6 felt like a bit much.
And there's no more. What was it called? The Iron Man when you did the team, the championship, and what was the big stupid stuff where everything was allowed?
God, yeah. I don't even remember anymore.
You hate yourself
Bag.
because you're playing with a bunch of broken stuff.
The
Yeah.
bag. Big.
No,
blank-
not
This was before Heresy. This was old days of 40K.
Yeah, where there was one event on Sunday that was 3 rounds that you could bring Titans to and like all that stuff.
Oh,
Yep.
okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it used to be, it was the single person tournament on Thursday, round 1 of the doubles or the quads, the big team event on Friday, round 2 on Saturday.
Nope. Thursday, round 1, 2, 3 of or in 4 of championships. Friday,
Yep, you're right.
was 3 more rounds of championship. Saturday was 4 games of teams, and then Sunday was 3 rounds of whatever that was, and it was a stupid amount of games if you did all 4 days. And I did all 4 days entirely too many times.
Yeah. All I know is it hurt, and I'm glad we're not doing that anymore.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But that's pretty much Adepticon. Do we want to go ahead and do the drawing, John?
Oh, I reckon we could do that. Just a second.
Do I?
And then,
Are you pulling up a screen, sir?
No, I don't. No, I'm not gonna do a screen for this
Okay.
one.
This also
Thank
may
you.
be our longest ever podcast.
yay!
But while John is
Lots to talk about.
getting that ready, there's a lot of issues. I will not deny that there was a lot of issues this year, but I think the good long term good will outweigh the short term bad.
I agree.
I agree.
Get the hotels that are attached. If not, get to hotels that have the shuttle buses going back and forth. You just gotta, cause Milwaukee's downtown is nice. It's still walking and then standing on your feet for 7 hours playing games.
Yeah, that Wednesday I
it
went
is-
and walked to FedEx, and it was a 10-minute walk. But as someone who doesn't walk a lot, 10 minutes is a lot in a city.
Yeah.
It's also very inconsistent weather. Being, I don't know, it's probably fairly close to Lansing as far as like Latin Lounge. So like one day, I think it was Friday, we had 70-degree weather. It was beautiful, very mild wind. The next day, rain, wet, cold, miserable. The next day, sporadic rain, also kind of cold and windy. You just don't know. The wind isn't as bad as Chicago. I mean, the wife and I cringe about it all the time. The times that we've gone to Schaumburg, watching display boards get destroyed in the wind,
Yeah.
watching people's armies get freaking launched across the parking lot into grass. The wind was just horrible there. So that is an upside, but for sure, get a connecting hotel or one with a shuttle.
And if you
Sounds
can get
good.
there Wednesday to help set up, be part of the setup crew, like I'm not gonna lie, the last 2 years helping with the setup on Wednesday have made me feel like an asshole all the other years where I would roll in, stick my head in, say hi, and then go dick around for the next 5 hours before I went to bed to wake up and take advantage of everybody's hard work getting everything set up and ready to go for Thursday morning.
Yep, I'll agree.
Yeah, I need to
All
do
right.
that next year.
Well, you brought us a lot of stuff we were missing, Brian, so you helped out.
Yeah, you did. You absolutely
I
did.
try. I
I
try.
got
And
I
I'm
got
going to go
some
ahead
money
and throw a
back.
shout out to all of the everyone who did help set up, everyone who did help tear down, and everyone who helped run events, run
Spreadsheet
tables,
sheet
run
Derek
everything.
giving everybody on that one day all their tables assignments when they signed up. Like,
Yep.
Jesus, like that hasn't I've never seen that in an event before.
Yeah, that was awesome. And a big shout out to the Ferrix guys,
Mhm.
who we will have on here in a couple episodes, talk about their events. They ran so much stuff, and everyone over there was having
Yeah.
so much fun.
Nick from Indy, big shout out to
Yep.
him being the expert rules judge for any question that we had. Derek, the non Excel sheet Derek, Zach, big shout out to all of them. I know I'm missing somebody.
We're always going to miss somebody.
Yeah.
But shout out to everyone who helped, everyone who showed up. We really appreciated everything. And after John gets done with the drawing, we've got 3 events to shout out.
Yeah, so I've got everything entered in the spreadsheet between the patrons and everyone who finished the 2-week hobby challenge for the time from February 1st all the way up until March 24th. We ended up with 29 entries.
Yay!
And so this first drawing is going to be for the paint mixer. And it went to number 9. Jason Driver, if you can reach out and give me your mailing address and everything, I can get you your paint mixer sent. And the second drawing is for an engraver. This works a lot like a Dremel tool, but it's what I used, or my buddy Joel used to work and carve a bunch of panel lines or the kind of scribe lines into a dreadnought. And so it works really well for that and for doing kind of minor drilling and stuff like that. That will go to, come on, 29. Three-headed snake off the Discord.
No.
Congratulations, three-headed snake.
Oh, three-headed snake. I see. Oh. I don't
Hail
know why I
Hydra.
made that dirty.
Yeah, you did.
I don't know
You
why.
usually do.
Oh, it's 11. That's why.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
All right,
So
events.
if both of y'all could reach out to me on Discord or on Facebook, I'd appreciate it, and I can get your stuff mailed out.
First
in the
winner.
coming
What
week.
was it? What was their name again?
Jason Driver.
Jason Driver.
Yep.
Come on down. The price is right. Next
Mhm.
winner. I remember this one because of it. Three-headed snake. The price is right.
Yep.
Come on down. Please get a hold of John on Facebook, Instagram, Discord. If you know his personal cell phone number, that's also a good way of getting a hold of him. If you don't have his number, let me look it up real fast and give it to you.
You can reach me on Discord or Facebook.
All right. So events. Who has events to shout out? I know Bri has an event.
I do.
Yep, Bri, you go first.
So the next Horus Heresy Michigan event in the Trappist system is going to be April 19th at a game store in Flint, Michigan. I realize it's the day before Easter, but some of us are heathens and that doesn't bother us.
Okay.
I believe the game store is called Great Escape. And I'm just going to triple verify that, but the information will be posted in the Discord in the relevant channel.
Sounds
Great
good.
Escape Games in Flint, Michigan. 2,500 points, 3 rounds, $20 entry. It'll run from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m., possibly ending sooner. It is a limited gaming space. It's a smaller store, so I have a limit of 12 players, but if we have enough interest, we will switch it over to team games of 1,500 points using the Adepticon doubles army composition rules to kind of keep things in hand. And that's my spiel.
All right, then. Let's see here. First one that's the newest announcement is Music City Heresy is back. They will be hosting Music City Heresy at NashCon again this year. After taking the last year off, that will be held August 14th through 17th, 2025 at the Sheraton Music City in Nashville, Tennessee. Don't have a lot of details there. Those will be getting announced on the Music City Heresy Facebook page. Second, Astra Appalachia and the Fabricator Forge are running Betrayal at Istvan 5, a 3-day narrative event for Warhammer the Horus Heresy, focusing on that, the beginning of the heresy. It'll be held on May 16th through the 18th, and I hope I pronounced this correctly, Arapolis, Pennsylvania. It's 15 minutes from the Pittsburgh International Airport. They are using a number of things. They have their own FAQ. They have their own schedule. They have their own tickets. You can find them on istvan-v.com. And again, that's on May 16th through the 18th, 2025 in Carapolis, Pennsylvania. And then down in Pensacola, Florida on May the 25th, there is the War for the Hollows is being put on by Palisade Industries. One of the guys from down there met us at Adepticon and wanted us to give them a shout out. That is a Mechanicum themed campaign event where players pledge allegiance to one of two rival forges rather than to the usual loyalist or trader divide. For more details and registration on that, the best place to check in is the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness Discord. Apparently, it's under Heresy Events. Several of their locals are also active in the Bama Heresy Discord, and some of them are active here on our Discord. Well, So they sent me a quick blurb they want me to read, so here it is. Deep within the Halo stars, shrouded in the unrelenting madness of the screaming vortex, lies the Hollows, a war-torn world untouched by the Great Crusade. For millennia, two rival forges have waged an unending war for dominance, their brutal conflict fueled by techno-arcane horrors and relentless industry. But now, with the eruption of the Horus Heresy, both factions turn their gaze outward, seeking to break their eternal deadlock by calling upon the forces of the Emperor and the War Master. And that's it.
I have one.
Yep. Shout it out, brother.
All right. This is from one of our from the Bama Heresy group. In particular, Christopher Bergeron. So everybody a lot of people know that Christopher Bergeron, he's an awesome painter. He does classes up at Adepticon. And what's going on? Bama Heresy is trying to build out more terrain right now for their upcoming events, because a lot of the feedback they got from the events they've had so far is they want more less generic terrain, but more thematic terrain. And so they've taken a lot of the funds that they've gotten from selling like the life-size marine helmets that they've been doing, that Christopher's been doing, and put it towards purchasing terrain and STLs. So what they're doing right now is on April 19th, which I know is coming up really quickly, from 10 to 8, Christopher Bergeron is going to host his, a free airbrushing class at High Ground Hobbies. And in exchange for the class normally would run you like 60 to 80 bucks at Adepticon. He does his whole full class. In exchange for the free class, he basically is going to press gang you into helping build terrain for the upcoming events this summer and into the fall. They've got limited seats left, so if you were interested in the area, like the Hunts, North Alabama, South Tennessee, Birmingham kind of region, and you're interested in a free, like, good airbrushing class, and you're willing to help with some terrain afterwards, please get in touch with Christopher Bergeron via Facebook or through the Bama Heresy page. And that's April 19th, which from 10 in the morning to 1800 in the evening.
And I think that's pretty much it at this point, gentlemen.
I do have one more
Hello?
thing.
Well, I've got my events too to announce.
Oh, go ahead, John.
Oh, yes.
Go, John, go.
John.
Yeah, so as I said before, I'm running the events at Dallas Gaming Monthly every third weekend. So third weekend this month is going to be the 19th. That is the day before Easter, as Brian said. So
Everything's on the
we don't
19th.
expect a huge.
Everything's on the 19th, man.
I know. I wish it wasn't then, but it's kind of what we've penciled in. So yeah, we'll be on the 19th this month. Next month we'll be on the 17th. So that'll be a little different for everybody. And then War Zone Houston just announced they're going to be having a Heresy event in, I believe it was May, and so I'll get more information on that as we go forward.
Lots of Heresy. Everybody should be ecstatic. Heresy events all over.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. Now, quick note, as it comes to Adepticon, means it's also coming towards our anniversary as a podcast.
It is.
It is.
So there will be some changes, good changes coming down the pipeline. Some wish that I've shown people tonight. Some wish we're going to test after this podcast very quickly. So don't be surprised on our anniversary podcast, the beginning of May, if it looks just a hair bit different. That's if everything works correctly. I'm hoping it will, and by saying this out loud, it's going to force me to do it, which is why I'm saying it.
That sounds about right.
So, outside of that, anybody else got anything?
Not a thing.
All right, John.
I just want to thank all. I want to thank all the listeners. We truly value you and your input.
Yeah, that was one thing that I really liked about Adepticon was everyone was like, "Oh, I'm a listener. I didn't know y'all were here," or was looking forward to reading you and everything. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that was fun meeting a lot of listeners for the first time. Get to hang out with people.
Was micro celebrities is what John called us.
Yeah.
C tier.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, John, take us out of here, brother.
Yeah, so everybody, thank you for joining us on this. I believe it was the 122nd episode of the Heresy Accountabilibuddies. There are times when just saying that sounds weird. Thank you all for joining us. Remember to stay accountable to yourselves, to your buddies, and your hobby, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.
There you go.
Like and subscribe, and see ya.